morning and welcome to DC Conversations. Um,
Thank you.
yeah, so I just want to understand, your brand has grown rapidly in just 5 years. What has surprised you the most about the Indian consumers' response to, your brand?
Firstly, the Indian consumer is evolving faster than the rest of the economies of the world. We must know that at least men in India and across, uh, there is a sense of care that's coming, about how they look, how they feel, how
Mm,
they want to express themselves, which really wasn't the case for a while. And we've been at it to see that change happen, and we're very, very happy about it. This kind of self-indulgence that the Indian society was never forward about has pivoted since COVID. And I think when you look at specifically the men's space, it's um, it's growing quite rapidly. And
mm,
also, there is a certain kind of man that is present everywhere in India who's adapting or who's reaching out to us. It's a particular kind of man. And that has been a very overwhelming feeling for SNN as a brand. Because whether we open in Chennai or Pune or Hyderabad, the man hasn't changed. He's he knows what he wants. He knows where he needs to wear it, and how often does he need to adorn himself in an SNN, and the occasion he needs to wear it to. These are tough questions that were not answered by men in the past. Men were
mm,
lazy shoppers. They
yeah.
would not change their hairstylist or their garment manufacturer forever. But since we've walked into the space, we've realized that all they really needed was a bit of care. And the brand has been able to provide them that, so they feel insulated and secure. You know, that if that answers your question.
Yes. And Shantanu, welcome to DC Conversations. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Excited.
so let me put my next question to you. So, like he was talking about how men are taking more interest in looking good. I just wanted to understand. So, SNN shirt contributes to 55% of your sales, right? So, why do you think this single product resonates so strongly with Indian men?
I think when you look at shirt as a category, it resonates with any global man. The first thing that you want your wardrobe to be decorated with is some uh, classic shirts, some party shirts, elevated shirts, experimental shirts. Worldwide, shirts is probably the only category that, and of course, then the polos and the t-shirts. I think men have always celebrated their limited choices in categories, and shirt being amongst the top of those. I think this love affair with shirts as a category started way back in 2000, I would say 17, when where we were starting to express ourselves sartorially with minimalism and some military influence and military chic becoming a very strong DNA of who we were as a brand. There was always this underlying current in our brand DNA, is that how do we let that groom who comes to us for his ceremonial needs bite into a sartorial shirt. So we created this very small nook in, like a corner at our flagship stores, where there were about 18 to 20 shirt offerings, with band collar becoming the house code. There was no typical shirt collar or a lapel like thing that sort of worked for us. We
Mm,
just felt that we needed to bring in a sense of edited heritage to our shirts and create crests and bring in a bit of military to it. And then I think from there onwards, every groom who used to step into our store did sort of impulsively got indulgent and then say, okay, I also want to buy these couple of shirts, because then now I also find wearability to it. Like, I've invested in my functions. This is something that I can wear otherwise. I think that's where SNN subconsciously was born in our heads. That's where we felt that there is now, it seems like we can create a universe with this category, and that's how it started. So When we opened our first store in Promenade, it was all about shirts, uh, and um, and it all sort of started with category laddering, price laddering, classics, elevated, experimental, and then we started to introduce some of our Indo-Westerns in it. So shirt was a love affair that we felt in 2017, but overall shirts is the category that men always it's a go-to category for most men.
So, SNN is an aspirational product, right? I mean, if somebody wants to buy it, like you said, everybody, I mean, now the love of, you were talking about love affair with the shirts. Now, I want to ask, when consumers have countless fashionable options off the rack, what makes bespoke or made to measure clothing worth the investment?
I think both the areas are completely different. Um, I don't think one can live without the other. While you have an experience of going to a store and picking up something that you love, you also want to allow someone to feel the experience of getting something made. It's a different emotion. It those people are epicurists who get their clothes bespoke. They want to feel the experience of enjoying something that is a part of a technique or a craft. Now, at SNN, all that craft happens before the product reaches the store. But once it's at the store, the idea is that they should feel insulated and secure enough to come and pick up everything they require. And when it comes to bespoke, like I said, that experience is also a valuable experience because India has been a country of getting clothes being handmade and tailor-made for people.
Yeah.
And that's a tradition that we come from. So we really should not let go of it. Having said that, um, the propositions are completely different in both bespoke and ready to wear.
So I think bespoke is best suited for the couture side of what we do with our brand. Uh, it's also taken us lots of labor and number of months to articulate a pattern for the Indian body type, where all the craft that we do, even in our British luxury brand SNN, which is more ready to wear and it's a pick from the shelf and leave, there's a lot that has gone behind creating that pattern. Where you do, even when you do your sizes, the customer, the man goes happy because it fits him well and he comes back again for the same fit. So I think a lot of the bespoke nature of who we were as and are as couturiers, a lot of that experience and intellect has gone into creating something at SNN, which almost gives you a feeling that it's a bespoke shirt because how does it fit so well? And I think the fit and tailoring was the starting point or the inflection point where SNN started. So today, when we see the same man going and shopping, he's almost looking at SNN as his wardrobe. So he goes, he'll pick up a shirt, he'll pick a couple of shirts with different varieties, he'll take his trousers, he'll even get a bandi or a shirt, kurta, he'll wear a shacket. So what it does is that it gives us and him the confidence that so many things that he can take from one under one roof and under one designer brand which never existed. You have the international brands that do all categories and then you just pick them from the shelf, do your trials and just move. I think the fact that it's coming from an Indian designer, it has to have the basic ingredients of how it fits on an Indian body type. And I think for that we've spent number of months to create and articulate a hybrid pattern that understands the commercial viability of an Indian body type, which is very varied and it's very different from a European body size. And then you bring in your craft. So I think every piece that you wear is almost got that feeling of bespoke. But I think bespoke is best left to couture, where you are actually creating something specific for a groom and his family. And that's the sense of enjoyment that one gets from that side of the brand spectrum. And it'll
Yeah.
continue to be like.
Yeah. Also, custom made garments are like, often seen as investments rather than impulse purchases, right? Do you think this shift in mindset can help build a more sustainable fashion culture as well?
Couture is sustainable if you look at it. an Indian couturier is primarily catering to the Indian wedding market. So you do invest in samples, but then everything else is so private and confidential that it is bespoke at its best. So when you look at it, you're really not putting pressure on resources. You are just customizing, and it's very just in time. And even with SNN as a Bristol Luxury Foundation, we are not fast fashion at all, and that would never be the case. It's still
Mm.
uh, it's very specific. It works on certain ingredients that will continue to remain part of your uh, lasting classic impression. And then we only have subtle drops that come in every 60 days, which is not elaborate or a big bang thing. It just comes in subtlety of 10 to 12 new styles being introduced, because our customer is very purposeful in that sense that he comes back to you. So 62% of our customers are the ones who men are the ones who've enjoyed wearing SNN, and now it's almost like an addiction that, what next. So to keep that alive, we just throw in a small capsule lines in between. So we've always tried to be as sustainable as we can in terms of minimizing the usage of
That's right.
fabrics.
Okay. So, how do you scale a fashion business across 21 stores while ensuring the brand's design identity remains intact? You recently opened a store as well.
There are two sides of it. Shantanu can bring in the second part of it, but at least from the design point, at a very early stage, we have a playbook that has house codes which we adhere to. We create everything around the personality we believe in, we are catering to. So it's sort of disciplined inbox design. We don't really jump out that often, but once we do, we focus on our extending our existing inspiration and making it exciting. And those, we call that highly experimental, that collection, and that those are small spurts that we always kind of indicate what's yet to come. But in terms of efficiency, it allows us, because we have certain constants in terms of color palettes and variables that we don't change. Variables are the 20% of color palettes that come in as drops, but mostly we're consistent with our palettes and our customers resonate with that.
Yeah, so I actually it is the beauty of understanding the science of retail. As couturiers, we've always couture is it's a pet passion project. The satisfaction that you get by building a portfolio of products and offerings for someone's most important day. There's nothing more fulfilling than that, because you're a part of their biggest emotional journey. And I feel that hence it becomes so passionate, and we get so close to what we do, that just kind of breaking the shackles and letting go of the handcuffs was by itself a very tough one, because we are also used to operating from 3,000, 4,000 square feet of space, where just experience becomes the talking point. Yeah. And
Mm.
now we have to bring that entire journey into a 1,100,000 square feet space. So you become anyway. So the good challenging, but the most enjoyable part of this objective we took to scale SNN was that we're going to restrict ourselves to 1,000 square feet space, where there is a bit of tightness in terms of what is in on the offer. Hence, there is a plug and play. There's a playbook. There is this whole merchandising planning strategy, and then of course the biggest bargaining power for us as designers was that we never got a raw deal when it came to sourcing and when it came to supply chain. And after our merger with ABFRL, we found that that became like a nice little candy shop where we could actually have negotiation on the table. So scale also does come with some control over supply chain, which unfortunately, as Indian designers, we've never had that, because we were not used to seeing an Indian, another extension of a brand going beyond couture. And I think if we were to, we broke that stereotype, and we kind of started to have adjacencies around some of the top international British luxury brands is also a testament to the fact that scale can be enjoyable, provided you keep it restrained, you keep it tight, and it becomes a tight box within which you start playing. And then automatically, with your data analysis and what you consume and what your merchandising and planning team brings on the table, becomes the science of retail. And that's when you know some of the boxes that you need to tick, some of the boxes that you want to stay away from, and then you start focusing on it. So hence it's a very addictive, I must tell you, it's a very addictive process of using design as still the successor, and then commercializing it, and then finding that engine, as opposed to what we've always done in couture, which is primarily passion.
So, what does the modern Indian man want from his wardrobe today that perhaps he didn't want a decade ago?
Oh, a decade ago, the Indian man barely had a wardrobe. He was sharing it with his partner. And now finally that he has space, he definitely wants up to trend product with his classic sitting. It's his wardrobe is a universe of Western, contemporary, Indo-Western, Indian techniques, and he should be able to. What we've seen with men, at least, they want to be able to have clothes in the wardrobe they can wear through the year without having the stress. And we bring that to them through different fabrics, textures, and silhouettes.
I think the biggest change is that the Indian man never had avenues to wear his heritage with a sense of pride. He was always shopping with the international brands that had started to come in with a wave of tsunami in India. Without naming them, we know how many of them have flooded the organized retail part, and I think that's where uh, daily essentials were being looked at. And then, of course, our man has always been a well-traveled person, so he goes abroad and does his shopping, or did his shopping. But at least uh, with SNN coming in, you felt that there was a very strong hybrid and some Indo-Western flavors happening. Categories that are normally understood to be Western were given a sense of heritage and a sense of craftsmanship to it, which from an Indian designer was a new phenomenon. And I think uh, with us setting the fire, I feel there are other brands that are now coming in. Other designers have started to launch their British luxury brands. So this is now becoming a very interesting space, a space that still obviously requires a lot more to be done, but at least the fire has started. And the Indian man today is looking beyond just couture and ceremonial needs and his Diwali needs. I feel he is also moving in the direction where there is a complete wardrobe solution sitting. And some of it is obviously sitting in the bucket of being even experimental. If a drape, when we introduced it in 2012, could shake the industry and could shake a man's wardrobe and bring in and balance the patriarchal phenomenon that India has always looked at, with softness coming in, with some femininity and soft masculinity coming in. You know that the Indian man likes to experiment, and I think that's where our story has always been very India centric, because we feel that the Indian man has always been a very ignored species. Worldwide they have been, but in India more so, and I think we've been able to break uh, that myth that an Indian man is not experimental. He's far more experimental than any other man in the world.
So, what about tier two cities? It's the same trend. What are consumers there looking for? I mean, do you find a difference in preference or choice of clothes?
Firstly, this tier two city phenomena is a mindset. A person in a tier two city doesn't think that they're in a tier two city. They think they're in the top city because they are achieved, they're entrepreneurs, they are young startup guys. Their mindset is completely global. So I think even as Indians, we need to get out of this tier two city. I think we talk infrastructure from an infrastructure point of view. Yes, probably tier two, but the mindset is definitely global. And like I said, we reach out to men with a particular mindset. If you look at Chennai, for example, we've been doing silk shirts since we opened. Silk shirts have just gone crazy. And these are not just regular silk shirts, they're digitally printed, some really avant-garde styles and prints. And on the weekend, we get to know how many of those have moved, which kind of indicates the man is the same across the board. And so then the city doesn't matter really. It's the mindset that matters to us.
Yeah, and across the categories that are sitting at SNN, you have categories that are very familiar, right? In nature, you have a shirt, you have a trouser, you have a jacket, you have a kurta, which is, not your typical placket kurta, but it's a kurta that universally can be worn anywhere at any point in time. So you are also dealing with certain familiar categories, and there is always a reason or an occasion to wear those. So hence, a tier two city versus a tier one really doesn't matter to us, because the idea of SNN was to democratize fashion across cities in India. And
Mm.
today, in out of those 10 cities, if we have a Delhi and a Mumbai, which normally is considered to be the metropolitans, then you look at Hyderabad, Bangalore, which are upcoming tier like cities. You also have Ludhiana, Chandigarh, Ahmedabad, Raipur, Jaipur. These are cities that have a tremendous amount of appetite to consume um, things coming from an Indian organic brand. Uh, like I said, it's still a journey, because we need more organic Indian brands, either coming from Indian houses or coming from Indian designers, to
Mm.
build in a lot more confidence. But with SNN, at least they don't have an opportunity to, they don't find an alibi saying that, we rather go to Delhi and Bombay and shop with Shantanu Nikhil. That happens with couture, because when you're making a very tough choice about your most important function, then you need to have choices. But with SNN, if there's an SNN in Amritsar or in Chandigarh, you'll have a similar product line sitting in
Mm.
Delhi, Bombay. So it remains exclusive in that sense. And you don't need a reason to travel from one city to the other.
So, if you had to predict the next big shift in Indian menswear, what would it be?
Shift has already happened. Actually, the shift started a few years ago, post
It
COVID.
just needs to
Now,
sustain now.
sorry,
The shift needs to be sustained now with
that's right.
longevity. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think in a multiverse of retail, the application of more categories is something that is going to be the future. While you have a shirt that is 55%, one cannot forget looking at um, the chance of a polo t-shirt or a loose shirt or a shacket. So I think introduction of new um, silhouettes are going to, categories are going to make the universe ideal.
Okay, so I have some rapid fire questions. Since you mentioned the polo t-shirts and all that, I just want to understand if there's one menswear trend you wish would disappear forever.
Loose sherwanis,
Yeah.
48 length sherwanis. Definitely.
Angrakha, those ghagra kurtas that men are forced
Yeah,
to wear.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so bun gala or a blazer?
Oh wow. I don't know. I think it should be both. This man, I mean, I would wear both with the same amount of love. Can't
Okay,
be one or the other.
okay, sorry.
Yeah.
So the most stylish Indian man right now.
They've all.
Right now, Indian, I mean, Indian men, when you think of, uh, again, let's talk about the personality more than the clothes, because, not everybody makes good decisions all the time. But if
Yeah.
you to turn to a good personality, then I feel, wow, man, I'm lost for words. This can't be a rapid fire. I think the new age musicians are, really. I think Diljit is really there for me.
Okay.
Uh, you know, he's not just trendy, but also really this personality always shines because he's deep rooted Indian, and he doesn't change who he is, even though his trends change. He doesn't change, and I think that's a personality that I like personally.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. Well, I think I can see Diljit in a very crisp, well-tailored bangala if he has to represent India on a red carpet globally. He can wear his high street like no one else does, which he wears, and then he can wear a tuxedo and a formal suit. So I think he's that personality who pretty much whatever he does looks stylish.
Okay. So one wardrobe essential every Indian man should own right now.
Uh,
Uh,
a Bandgala for sure, because that is representative of who you are. I think it's pretty much a given that when you wear a Bandgala, it is recognizable that this come from an Indian designer, and it has a sense of India to it. When we did Ram Charan's um, Bangala with a draped kurta for his Oscars for RRR. I think that was a testament that if a tuxedo can be your go-to category on red carpet, a Bangala is definitely the Indian uh, replica or Indian uh, version of how you see formal wear. So I think Bangala brings that uh, formal wear side of India, which is easily recognizable.
So what do you think of Ramcharan's sense of style and fashion? What do you think best fits him?
uh, I think the sartorial India that Ramcharan um, comes when he wears a sartorial Indian piece looks better than a jacket or a suit, according to me. Because he has, for his build and his torso, he commands a lot more when his chest is closed.
Okay. And what do you think of people wearing sneakers everywhere with every other outfit?
See, we don't have I don't have a problem with sneakers. I wear them all the time. I think it's more of a personality. It depends how they feel about themselves, you know. I don't think it's anything to do with the trend. In today's day and age, men specifically want to feel more light and comfortable,
Hmm.
and sneakers give them a chance to be express themselves. So be it.
So, but don't you think you kind of giving out a message that you're too casual about it, and with any dress you're just pairing it?
No, I mean, after COVID, all the formality is gone, to be very honest with you.
Yeah. Okay.
No,
Yeah,
there
yeah.
was also a time when sneakers was being worn on many occasions. You could wear it with your bangalas, you could wear it with your sherwanis, etc. I think that was at that point in time the instinct, and it was probably a fad. But you'll see less of it now with certain functions on certain moments. But it's still a very predominant part of a man's uh, culture. In terms of how comfortable you want to be, and there are so many beautiful choices and newer brands that have come out with that are creating fabulous sneakers that are not only good for your feet and gives you longevity, because feet is something that if you don't look after it with the right footwear, I don't think formal footwear can ever achieve that as much as your sneakers can. So I
Yeah.
think that's also one of the reasons why the world is really taking over when it comes to sneakers. But its wearability has definitely dramatically gone down in terms of mixing and matching as well as opposed to what it used to be. But it's still a very important part of a man's wardrobe.
So, what are the colors that are working for men right now? What's trending?
All the soft palettes, when looking at the outdoor soft palettes, fawns, dusty rose, moss green, light beiges, stone color, soft grays. Those are some of the palettes that are really working out well right now.
One fashion rule you love breaking.
I think love breaking. I make fashion rules. I don't break them. So idea is to, once you make a fashion rule, it already is a break in the system. Like for example, um, I like to wear my shirts really oversized, with the front two buttons open. It's kind of uh, 1980s Bollywood Jackie Shroff space.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
so you know,
So one celebrity you think perfectly embodies the SNN aesthetic.
one is not enough, no.
Okay, two,
Uh,
three.
okay, I feel like I like cricket a lot. I think Hardik in the past, Abhishek Sharma has been wearing us. He's really cool. He's got this young Rishabh, the sitar maestro, has been really applauding the way he wears us.
Yeah.
I think guys who are completely in their own space, there is a shift from Bollywood to personalities that are doing different things. Um, and even like political personalities, Ram Mohan Naidu, who's the aviation minister, wears us all the time, kind of brings a certain, and he's a very effervescent politician. People love him. He's a outwardly happy person, and the brand resonates quite well on him. So we're also pivoting away from, not uh, deliberately, but it's happening that other personalities that are holding their own space in what they do are wearing SNN.
So one fashion trend that you think Gen Z is getting absolutely right.
I think just being themselves and experimenting with whatever they feel is right. I think in our generation we didn't do it. We were still bound by what's happening in the music scene, whether it's Michael Jackson or Duran Duran. But these kids are like, Gen Zs are doing exactly what they want, and I think that's plausible.
Okay, one last question for both of you. One item from your own wardrobe you can never part with.
For me, it's a well tailored, like I said, bangala and a well tailored suit. Can never part with it.
For me, it's a short kurta. I've
Okay,
had one navy blue short kurta with me since 2012.
great. Thank you so much, both of you. Thank you for your time. Bye.
Thanks.
Have
Bye.
a nice day. Bye.